Welcome to Black Nouveau. This is our edition for January 11th, 2017. I'm Joanne Williams. Milwaukee's CityNet Café may be the jazziest place to get a cup of joe. Liddy Collins takes you there. We'll see the third annual We Got This, the Tuxedo Walk. And City Health Commissioner Bevan Baker joins us to talk about the problems of lead poisoning in urban communities. This weekend, the City of Milwaukee will hold its 33rd annual celebration of the life and work of Dr. Martin Luther King, Jr. The major celebration will be at the Marcus Center on Sunday, January 15th. As we love to bring you every year, here is one of the student winners in the MLK speechwriting contest, Maranda Brown, speaking on the topic, We Shall Overcome.
Observing the terror in my mother's eyes, I recognized the same devastation I had witnessed many times before. Searching for comforting words to offer her, but finding none, I continued to cleaning up the ruins from yet another break-in. My life, it's a statistic. African Americans have the highest poverty rate at 27.4%. My family and I fell into this category. Imagine having to worry about if mama can provide food today or if dad is going to call today from the Correctional Institute. It was hard relying on food stamps because they only lasted for so long. Then it was back to wondering where my family's next meal would come from. I was brought up in the hood, as some might say. It was hard to endure the need to duck as gunshots rang out every other night. It was usual to see drug deals and men gambling. I lived in constant fear daily because I never knew what could happen to my family. But the story does not end here. My life is still a statistic. According to the Netflix documentary, The 13th, every 1 in 3 African-American males will go to prison. In 2006, I watched my own father get handcuffed and hang his head in shame. He has been out of jail twice in the last 10 years since 2006, leaving my mother to take care of 6 children on her own. Shortly after the break-in, our lights were turned off because we did not have the funds to pay the energy bill. And I remember that night in the dark so vividly. All of my brothers and sisters were in the living room, and my mother came in carrying sheets and flashlights. As we gazed with wondering eyes, she told us, "We're camping indoors tonight." I will never forget this. Because even though we had nothing, my mother always made sure to bring out the best in any situation. My mother is the lux in tenebra, as we say in Lat class, meaning light in darkness. As Dr. King has told us, only in the darkness can you see the stars. It was watching my mother rise above her hardships that challenges me to keep striving in life, even when it seems impossible. Life may not hand me the optimal experience, but I can optimize every experience life gives me. But I strongly believe that I am not the only person who faces hardships and obstacles. The ultimate measure of a man is not where he stands in moments of comfort and convenience, but where he stands at times of challenge and controversy, as Dr. King proclaimed. The question is not how you're going to deal with depression, finances, marital issues, friendships, or even school, but what you are going to do to overcome what is hindering you in that circumstance. There are so many controversial issues in America today that I could have elaborated on. But it's essential to realize that it all starts with you. We have to learn to overcome our own trials and tribulations before we can take on the world's. As Dr. King said, we must accept finite disappointment, but never lose infinite hope. Today, I stand here as a new statistic of hope. If I, as a young Black woman, can overcome the battles of life, then you too can overcome. And as Dr. King exclaimed, we shall overcome. Thank you.
And here is Maranda Brown, who's a student at Eastbrook Academy. You're in 12th grade?
Yes.
I love the essay.
Thank you.
You said that you wrote it for another purpose and adapted it for the contest. What was that?
I did. So originally, I'm a senior, so I have to write a college essay. And I basically, in my college essay, I wrote about how I overcame a lot in my younger life. And so this year's theme just so happened to be We Shall Overcome. So it was easy to just use what I already had and then just add in the Dr. King aspect. So they both worked well.
Well, good. Now, you said in your essay, we should optimize every experience life gives me. So what are you going to optimize from winning this contest?
That is a very great question. Well, I'm definitely going to use this to help me in my future. Optimize this experience. What I mean by that is, so basically I love to speak. And for college, I want to go into communications. So I'm going to optimize this experience, use that as a pedestal to help me when I get to college. And speaking, if I ever have to speak for anything or even public speaking, I'm going to use this as a pedestal to help me.
So you want to go to college next in 2017?
Yeah.
Where do you want to go?
I do want to pursue my life at Calvin College in Grand Rapids. That is definitely my top choice.
Why?
Well, one, they're liberal arts. They're a private school, very small. I'm always used to small schools, so that just works well with me. I do have a sibling that goes there, and mainly because they have Latin. And I am studying Latin right now. I'm in Latin 5 right now, AP Latin. So, and it's not usual for schools to have Latin. And they have great communication majors that I would love to pursue there also.
Why Latin? What good is a dead language?
Same thing I thought back in freshman year. Honestly, I did not like Latin at first because I figured it was a dead language. It wouldn't help me anywhere. But it was when I started seeing it in my other classes. I would see it at the base or root of words. I would see it in history all the time, Rex, Ex, Lex. I would see it, and I figured maybe this can help me as a communications major. Maybe I can use this as a foundation to help me with my etymologies and learning the roots of words and communicating, because communication is an art, and I can use it to pursue what I want to do in life.
And writing is an art too. You're going to continue to write?
Yes, definitely.
Okay. Well, we'll look for something else that you wrote one of these days while you're in college, maybe after that, and we'll look for you in communication. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Maranda Brown of Eastbrook Academy, the winner of the Martin Luther King Essay Contest for 2017 in the 11th and 12th grade category.
Yes.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
The 33rd Annual MLK Day Celebration starts at 1 p.m. at the Marcus Center for the Performing Arts on Sunday, January 15th, 2017.
Milwaukee's downtown on East Wisconsin Avenue, the CityNet Café.
You'd have an experience that you won't get going anyplace else. It's the jazziest coffee house in Milwaukee, and you're going to get a great product. Most people, when they come in, they're in awe because they look at the pictures and they see a lot of people, a lot of artists that they've heard of and never really spent a lot of time maybe studying them.
They see coffee and the different roast profiles.
Then they see this lovely lady that's she's sitting down making coffee for people to come together and sit down and enjoy a coffee ceremony like in Ethiopia.
And then they hear jazz.
They don't hear smooth jazz, but they hear traditional jazz.
And his concept for the CityNet Café came from his travels to Africa.
I discovered that Africa is the birthplace of coffee, Ethiopia. And so throughout traveling in Africa, there's been a lot of coffee shops I went into, not real fancy or anything like that. I do my own coffee. I get it from various places, but we do our own roasting. We're the only I call real small batch roaster, because we're the only ones that'll roast you a pound while you wait. And you got a fresh bag of coffee.
Along with being a barista, Sam Belton is a jazz musician who's performed locally and throughout the country. His coffee shop concept came also with another vision.
To have a place that kids could come. Today, there's not many places that the kids can play, unless they are going to School of the Arts or in a program like MISO or something like that.
What is MISO?
It's the Milwaukee Youth Symphony.
So twice a month, second and fourth Friday, 6 to 8 p.m., young people can come in and experience jazz and even sit in and play along with his band, the Jazz Experience.
Sometimes we don't take a break because we just play, and for the people's enjoyment and even our own enjoyment.
He feels young people here don't listen to jazz as much as they do overseas.
You can go to Japan and, there's young people that are really listening to jazz. And a lot of artists from the United States go over there and play, a lot of jazz artists. But what we're trying to do is keep it alive, here in the United States, and give young people the opportunity to hear it because our radio stations have stopped playing jazz. We kind of set it up where, people don't have to worry about, I can't bring my kid, and they can come in and enjoy music. We try to make it an enjoyable experience for all ages. It's the kind of place that is hard to leave once you get in and sit down and you listen and you hear the music, and it's just that type of atmosphere.
The call to community was so strong that neither snow nor frigid temperatures could deter the fellowship at Northcutt House. This was the third year that the young men who worked in the garden at 9th and Ring during the summer dressed up and went to dinner to celebrate their achievement.
Some of them have walked from 38th and Colina, which is a distance. Some of them are coming from 45th and Roosevelt, walking. So they start out at 6:30, 6:45 in the morning, walking to get here.
The garden project was started by Andre Lee Ellis.
I have a garden project on 9th and Ring where we teach young black men how to grow their own food and how to clean up the neighborhood, and they get paid for it.
Men from the community mentor the youth, and they financially support the project.
The purpose of the dinner is that many of the young black men in the neighborhood don't have a father or even a man in the house, and sometimes if he is there, he's not the greatest example. So this is a day where the men dress them up. Some of them have never put on a suit and tie, and they put on the tie, and the man help them with the tie. And for the first time, many of them are called son. Many of them get father advice. I like to say you may not be their birth dad, but for the day you become their earth dad.
This year's celebration honored the young men who worked in the garden. Andre Lee Ellis also saluted some of the elders who were important to his upbringing.
Man, you got like Ben Johnson and Mac Weddle and Mr. McCullum. These are school teachers and politicians and social service directors who have done it for 40 and 50 years.
Because of the inclement weather, the group picture was taken indoors this year. And then the group headed to the Hilton's Crystal Ballroom for dinner. There they met the young ladies from Sisters Got This Too.
And I want to remind all the young brothers that are here today about the conversation we had this summer in the garden about obligation. We don't come there because we like to or we think it's cool. That's all a part of it, but we have an obligation. We have something that we are morally bound to you to do, because there were those who came before us that had a binding to us. There are many of our elders that are in this city that allow me to be alive and allow me to get to the point that I am at right now. And so we have that obligation to you, young brothers. So it's something that we enjoy doing, however, it is our duty to do it as well. And so you look at yourselves right now and enjoy this moment you're in right now. Build with each other, bond with each other, form brotherhoods with one another, because it is very important, because one day you will be bound and obligated to go forth and deal with somebody else.
It's a pleasure to be amongst you today. It most definitely is, y'all. I received a lot of awards in my life, but the greatest reward that I have ever received is being in the presence of so many black men in changing the story. Say, we gonna change the story. Say, we gonna change the story. You see, they say we thugs, we hustlers, we criminals, we dope dealers. And as a matter of fact, a testament to that is, really the only time the news cameras come out is when something negative happens to us. The media is hard pressed to be here because this ain't news to them. But it's the only news story that's going on in the city today. Clap your hands and make some noise for that.
What was today like for you?
Phenomenal. It was phenomenal because even though there was a storm, the event was like sunshine. And to see the young men put on suits and to dress up and to see that their whole pride level changed and they instantly got class in their life. And to see the older men come out in the numbers that they did to help them, to help make sure, I'm about to cry now, just to help make sure that they have a day of feeling worth something.
1, 2, 3.
Despite being banned from products that are manufactured today, lead exposure is still a major health issue for most urban areas and many rural areas as well. This is an ongoing problem that Black Nouveau and other Milwaukee PBS programs will be discussing. We are joined by City and Milwaukee Health Commissioner Bevan K. Thanks for joining us.
Oh, thank you for having me.
What has been making the most news lately is the issue of lead in water, but that's not the only issue about lead, is it?
No, it's not. And while we're concerned about how lead and water can contribute to particularly childhood lead poisoning, still the main source of lead hazard for a child, the main source for lead hazard is still paint. And we have to be concerned, and the city has put a lot of effort over the last decade or two to ameliorate and to somehow abate lead hazards in our homes.
What are the long-term effects of children being exposed to lead paint?
Well, there are many, and I think that the concern that we want to protect children is that as you are developing as a child, your brain, your bones, your whole metabolism is impacted by lead hazards. It can have long-term developmental disabilities. It can create impulse concerns, and some studies have shown that it can even lead to increased violence among those who are exposed. So we really want to work with our entire community, including providers, to remove lead hazards.
Now, are children more vulnerable than adults?
They certainly are, and certainly just look at the body size, the ratio, for instance. But the reason why they're more vulnerable because they're more likely to come in contact with chipping paint, dust, from lead hazards in homes because they put their fingers in their mouths just as kids will do. So we really want to get lead hazards out of homes.
Now, this isn't just a urban issue. A lot of people like to refer to it as an urban issue, but we have problems in rural areas as well. What are those problems?
Well, I think they have some of the same concerns. One, if they have an old housing stock, and these are homes that are pre-war homes, they're going to have lead in those homes in the forms of paint. If that lead hasn't been abated, that's still a concern there. Some of our rural communities as well have lead service lines under the ground that are delivering water into the homes, and they need to be removed just like urban areas. This is a statewide issue. This is a national issue. This is an infrastructural issue that's affecting public health throughout the Midwest, throughout Wisconsin, and our whole nation for that matter.
How do you know if you had lead in your home?
Well, I think that we have people who can come in. We have inspectors who can come in and test. But certainly, if your home was built prior to when lead paint was banned in 1978, you probably have some source of lead paint in that home. If your home is very, very old, like we have some 1908, 1920 homes, we know that there's lead paint in the homes. We'll have someone come out and check, and they can expect that. But we don't want to wait. We want to make certain that we protect kids by getting kids tested to see if they've been exposed to lead hazards.
So what is the city actually doing to get lead out of the homes?
Well, we've had a childhood lead poisoning program where we work with the land owner, the homeowner, the tenant, landlords, and contractors to abate lead in homes. We have HUD funding. We put nearly $50 million to abate lead in homes since Mayor Barrett came in 2004. That's one of our largest programs within the health department. So we work with the homeowner to get that lead abated.
Now, last year, Milwaukee Public Schools had some testing done, and they discovered that they had lead in some of their water. Has that situation been fixed?
Well, I think I want to applaud the district, MPS, for being proactive. First, there were no lead service lines going into MPS schools, so they didn't have that issue. But they wanted to make certain that none of their fixtures, none of their water fountains and or sinks had lead hazards. They tested their water. They dealt with an independent contractor who did that, and they found out that some of their water fountains and some of their sinks did have higher levels, and they took those out of service. We're happy to see that. We want to make certain that public, charter, and private schools all take that proactive stance as MPS did.
Now, is there like a priority list that the city checks? Like, are you looking at daycare centers first and trying to fix those problems before you look at problems with the regular homes?
Well, I think you're exactly right. There is a priority, and we want to look at the most vulnerable populations first. There are 385 licensed daycare centers within the city of Milwaukee. We want to attack those first. We're going to leverage some of the money that we've gotten from the state of Wisconsin, and in the mayor's 2017 budget, there's about $11 million that we're going to take and leverage and go and remove the lead service lines going to those licensed daycare centers. So there's 385. They will be first on the agenda, and we'll start in 2017 to get those lead service lines out of the ground and make those places safe.
What has the state's response been to lead poisoning?
Well, I think that we've had some great conversations, and I've had some great support from the state. I have to commend Secretary Stepp and the late Secretary Rhodes for responding to my office when I asked that they work with us. We do have some funds that are coming from the state, so they need to be a partner in this. It's not just the Milwaukee problem, it's a statewide problem. I'm happy to see that they've given us some funds that we're going to leverage, but much more is needed. We have to be all in this together.
How do you get your kid tested for if you think they've been exposed to lead?
Well, it's a simple blood lead test that can happen. It's a finger stick. But what we want is to make certain that parents, guardians, adopted parents have a relationship with a pediatrician or family practice doctor and get their children tested 3 before age 3. And this is something that every pediatrician and family practice doc should be asking when you bring your child in for checkup.
And what services are available through your agency?
Well, we're a safety net provider, and we test thousands of children, and we've had a 66% increase in childhood lead poisoning testing. And we would ask them to call the health department if they can't get any other source of testing, and we'll make certain they can get to one of our clinics. So if they want to call the health department at 286-3521, we'll direct them to the closest clinic.
And for more information, you just said it, but what else can they do? Is there anything else they could do?
They could go to milwaukee.gov/health, and we have a lot of information up there about our childhood lead poisoning prevention program and access to different resources that the city's put forth, including access to water filtration systems.
Well, thanks a lot, Bevan, for joining us today.
Thank you.
And here's a special treat, Sam Belton's Jazz Experience. And that's our program for this week. For Black Nouveau, I'm Joanne Williams. Thanks for watching.